Hello YouTube, I have a bit of a rant today about sources of information, relying on them, double checking and the like, along with a bit of a Kam'lanaut evaluation. This rant has been in the drafts for a bit, and I was mainly focused on people who parrot things they hear on Discord or Facebook or whatever sites, social media, etc. without double checking, and that rant is definitely still coming. It might get mixed in here, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I got dragged into a different perspective when doing my research on Kam'lanaut, trying to finish up my monthly pull plan video. Before I continue, please show some love for this video, subscribe if you haven't already, leave me a comment what you think about misconceptions in the Final Fantasy Dissidia Opera Omnia community. Anywho, if you've interacted with me on Discord or seen my YouTube, you'll know I've been very vocal about Kam'lanaut. Pre-LD, I talked about how messy he was. Kit didn't really make sense. He wasn't really good at what he was supposed to be, and while he was a viable character, it's kind of However, after his LD, I love highlighting his strengths and how to use them to the fullest capability. I don't usually read evals or watch pull recommendation videos because I play JP and that info just doesn't do anything for me. I've already made up my mind for the most part on how I'm approaching global. But my affinity for Cam prompted me to dive in and see what the vibe was around the community so I could think of how best to be impactful via content creation. I'll say now before I continue, the following is not directed personally at anyone. I believe we shouldn't judge people based on their mistakes but how they respond to them. Additionally, where I saw issues, I left the creators' feedback highlighting what was missed out on. It takes a lot of effort to pump out videos, write scripts, gather info, etc. So I understand that mistakes happen, that's perfectly fine. I make mistakes too, and I'll highlight those later. But the issue right now is that Kam'lanaut's current kit on the JP side of the Dissidia database, shout out to Rem, is his old one. I spoke to Rem about it a couple months ago, but he never got around to fixing it. He's human, that's understandable. And unfortunately now we're seeing the rippling effects. People are unaware of his actual rework, which includes more skill uses, potency, overflow hits, blah blah blah. Evals are being done while describing his old base kit, which is not representative of his updates and his future. Additionally, Cam's 7-star armor in JP is not the same as in Global. It was reworked to have a higher HP damage cap. These are all understandable blunders. If you rely on the Dissidia database, which is a great resource for your info, and you use it to generate your evaluations, then obviously something small like this that you're not quite familiar with would fly under the radar. But this is kind of indicative of a larger problem that I want to talk about. Cam's kit not being updated on the database could be verified by watching videos closely, comparing it to his details in Global by clicking the tab, or double checking Leo Bob's numbers. If you don't know Leo Bob, by the way, he is a godly translator, helps hold the English speaking side of the JP community together on Discord and Facebook. I don't know where else he is, but Leo Bob's translation for Cam's kit, which is available on Discord and Reddit, is the only one I'm aware of at this moment, and I'm going to plug that so everyone can take a look. I did a double take on Cam's info too a couple months back when I noticed this discrepancy. Also, having knowledge that the debuff, aka Tactics armor, was reworked to increase the cap, along with using Cam alongside his upgrades, clued me in almost immediately. But for others, I can totally understand why this mistake happened. Misconceptions happen all the time, and while I try to combat the ones I can, I'm one guy. I do YouTube and Final Fantasy Dissidia Opera Omnia as a hobby. I can't get to them all. I got a life, to be like that sometimes. Most of these takes get pushed by word of mouth without, sadly, any critical thinking. Big examples are about character viability and shelf life, which I've ragged on before. Counters to specific units, usually in the form of element resistance. Hyperbole generally catches fire and then gets repeated as fact. I've seen people hyping up largely non-existent Thunder Absorb throughout social media, non-existent Holy Absorb outside of a few fights. And this is very easy to verify. We can check future fights on remsbenia.dissidia.dev, and just a quick check could quiet down a lot of panic and fear of insert element here, absorb, dispels, cleanses, just etc. It's easy to just repeat things others say, but everyone would enjoy the game at full capacity if we stomp out these misconceptions at every corner and bad takes, while double checking our own claims and validating them with data. If you see the flood of misinfo like I do all the time, you're convinced that every future fight resists every element, every unit is useless outside of synergy, debuffs are always cleansed, and everything's a guaranteed hit, which is far, far from the truth. Just taking a step back and observing all these floods of takes when people aren't even verifying it would make you realize how often they're blown out of proportion, and it's better to just do the research for yourself. I'm guilty of this as well. I recall back during Fujin's EX and rework, I was convinced just from bad memories JP side that every fight that there'd be a ton of wind resist or wind absorbed fights, when it turned out there was just like 1 or 2. And that's really when I woke up to the fact that it's easy to blow these things out of proportion. And I make sure, if I'm talking about a unit, I make sure to double check always, 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 always. This is why, for one reason, the Tonberry Troop is so reliable. They ask people familiar with the units, they double check, triple check probably, I don't know their exact process, watch videos, check multiple translations. Takes longer to pump out, but it's generally on the money. We're all humans, we all make mistakes, but again, as a community, we'd be better off not taking things at face value, double checking more frequently, because disinformation is dangerous. I also don't think it's quite fair to criticize others' attempts while also not putting in the work yourself. So I'm going to do a Cam breakdown based on my experience alongside his actual rework. Cam is getting a rework and an LD, both of which tremendously tie his kit together. I'll be going through both. Again, shout out to Leo Bob for the translation. His rework. First off, one of the biggest changes was Addle. Addle is his frame debuff counter. It now lasts 3 turns instead of 1. So before, he'd get hit and they get debuffed for 1 turn, but then that's just 1 turn. You can't guarantee they'll hit Cam again. Maybe if they do a lot of AoEs, it'd be up often, but keeping it up was a problem. But now that it's 3 turns, it can be way more impactful during the fight. If you're not aware, Addle is an amazing debuff. It's 30% attack down along with 30% magic attack down. It stacks like magical and physical attack buffs. So if you're not aware, the 30% attack down applies to everything that the enemy can do. And the extra 30 only applies to magic attacks. So if an enemy attacks Cam and does magic damage, Addle afterwards would tack on an additional about 60, no actually not even about, just straight up 60% magic attack down, which is severe. His frame S2 buff, Desire of Providence I think it's called, is an aura attack down along with 10% magic attack down. So he has a theoretical 80% magical attack down after an enemy hits him for 3 turns. That's very strong. Additionally, if you have his 7-star armor, that's an additional 10% attack down. And if you really want to stretch it to get to 100%, you could bring the Bahamut summon to round it out to 100% attack down. If you're even more insane, you could give him his own sphere, which is 30% attack down if you do a critical attack at max HP, I believe. That's 130% attack down just coming from Kam'lanaut, which is nice. Bosses won't do anything to you. It's great to see. Now I'm going to get into his skills. The way I plan on doing the rest of this is I want to talk about how it is in practice. Cam has a lot of bells and whistles on his kit, but I want to talk about really what you're actually going to see in practice. So first we have skill 1. Scroll the numbers and names. You're only going to see classification, which is an upgraded skill 1. I'm not going to waste your time with the details because nobody reads it anyways. I only remembered the name of this skill because I looked it up. Now it has more overflow and it hits harder. That's all you need to know. The plus version that you get that guarantees the paralyze after a Brave Plus breaks or hits a broken target, it has 30% more overflow compared to the base version. That's really it. Simple. Skill 2, you get an extra use of it. It has a bigger Brave gain and it's up to 6 hits. And now your HP plus hits harder as well. Now something important to highlight, his call. I think this is criminally underrated at the moment. It does a 4-hit skill 2. The effect is the big one here. It's an Addle aura, aka 40% attack plus 40% magic attack down as an effect. It's 6 turns, so it's very, very good if you're expecting to get slapped by a lot of AoEs. And it takes up no debuff slots. It's just that strong of an attack down aura. That's pretty much unprecedented. If you throw it on someone slow, you're not going to take much damage while this call is active. So if you're expecting to get beat up, just throw Cam's call on somebody and laugh as they don't do any damage to you. His LD, which is really the crux of his new kit, it's an 8-hit single target attack with 50% splash. It'll get him to max stacks ASAP, so you don't have to worry about his build up or his garbage stacks or whatever. He'll just get going immediately, which kind of makes his C65 a bit useless unless you get broken on accident, but it has a new overhead that lasts 8 turns, assuming you max it out. And why are you not maxing your LD weapons out? Just don't use it at that point. It gives Cam 30% HP damage refund, party overflow aura for 20%, and 10% M-Brave region for the party. I think that's how much Lightning has, but I don't quite remember because I don't care. And now he has a new Brave Plus that nulls action delay on break, so you can paralyze right after. So if Lightning again, if you hit someone that's broken with the Brave Plus, you'll get the guaranteed paralyze just because of how his Brave Plus works, And if you need it in a pinch, like right at that moment, you can clutch paralyze right there, or you can just like do another skill, whatever. Do whatever you feel like. And that's his kit. Now to briefly go into how to use Cam. Forget all the moving parts. His kit is hilariously simple. It's just really wordy. I'm going to break it down real easy so anybody can understand. You open with LD, get to his max stacks or buffs or whatever it is, and you follow up with skill 1 to get the skill 1 buffs. After that, you're good to go. Brave Plus if you see fit. If you break with it, again, you can hold on to the paralyze or burn it immediately, or you can just hit a broken target, same as before, and it'll guarantee paralyze will be available next turn. Otherwise, you just want to spam skill 1 and pray for paralyzes. Maybe throw a taunt call, such as, well, Zach's the only one at the moment, but you want Cam to get hit as much as possible, so you don't want to tank on the team. He has such high overflow on top of an overflow aura on everything that he doesn't really need a battery. His HP damage refund will tend to leave him close to max brave after he's done attacking, and he's going to regen on his turn. The attack downs he provides will prevent him from getting broken largely. And you're pretty much going to swap him out for a friend near the end of the battle, probably a burst friend, as his auras and damage are okay, but you don't necessarily need them on the team, so do not worry about burning out, spam his skills. Maybe throw in a skill 2 if you need a high turn rate or a buff refresh. Buff refresh, words are hard. But that's pretty much it. He's there to provide magic attack down, paralyze, and delays. Cripple the enemies. He's got all of it. I have a ton of commentated cam runs on my channel, and I've used them a ton, so feel free to ask me anything about him. And I'll be doing even more in Global, because I really like the character in-game. I haven't played Final Fantasy XI, and I never will, but I think Cam is fresh, so it is what it is. And that's it, really. His Lufeni is fun. It's a fun month. I'll be working on my poll plans video that'll be coming shortly after this. Tell me what you guys think again. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there about some of the information spreading around, and just a PSA that Cam's information on the city database is not accurate at the moment. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and peace.